Hello, and welcome back to the Left Bench TV, your sideline source for all things Maryland sports. I'm April Howard.
And I'm Julia Joseph. Maryland Athletics is in postseason mode, and we've got a lot to catch you up on. So let's get started.
The Maryland baseball team is on fire right now, so we'll start things off at the Bob. When the Minnesota Golden Gophers came to College Park this past weekend, Maryland's offense was unstoppable. The Terps kicked off the series Friday with a dominant 12-4 win over the Gophers, but Saturday's game was a bit closer. With things tied up at 3 in the bottom of the ninth, there were 2 outs and the bases were loaded. Tommy Gardner was walked to force in the winning run, giving Maryland the 4-3 win. Though the series win was clinched, Maryland wanted the sweep. And that's exactly what they got on Sunday, rolling over the Gophers 6-3. Here's what head coach Rob Vaughn had to say about how they're preparing for their next series.
So I told our guys, I said, look, I'm never going to take a sweep away from you. It's hard to sweep anybody. Doesn't matter what it is. But we also have to be mature enough to realize that we've got work to do. We got 4 weekends left. Every ounce of what we do has to turn to figuring out a way to beat Illinois this weekend, who's playing better baseball. They're at home. They can really hit. So it's gonna take a really good week of work for us to put us in a position to go try to win on Friday night in Champaign. But nonetheless, proud of the guys this weekend, but still got plenty of work to do.
The Terps are headed to Illinois this weekend for a 3-game series. We'll see how much longer they can keep their win streak alive.
The baseball team isn't the only unstoppable squad in College Park this spring. On April 24th, Maryland men's lacrosse secured a perfect regular season for the first time since 1987, and it happened on the home turf of their biggest rivals, Johns Hopkins. In unusual fashion for the top-ranked Terps, this game was a nail-biter. Hopkins had a 2-point lead late in the fourth quarter, but not if Jared Bernhardt and Logan Wisnauskas had anything to say about it. Bernhardt tied it up at 13 in the final 2 minutes, and with under 1 minute left to go, Wisnauskas netted his second goal in just 2 minutes, making the team go crazy and securing the win 14-13. Maryland held the rivalry trophy up high for the second time this year. The Terps have earned the number 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament and will open the tourney in the semifinals this Thursday at 5 p.m. They'll be facing 5th-seeded Michigan, looking to fight their way toward the championship on Saturday. Here's what defenseman John Guppert had to say ahead of the tournament.
I think we're at an advantage this year because we've seen each team twice already. So prepping for each team, we kind of already have a good understanding. But, we always plan and prep to be able to play 2 games in 3 days because our 2 biggest goals at the beginning of each year are to win those 2 games in 3 days in the beginning of May and then the end of May. So, we've been training for this all year. So it's time to perform and do what we have to do.
And the Hardshells are heading into the postseason with plenty of awards. 5th-year senior Jared Bernhardt has been unanimously named Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, and senior Nick Grill joins him as the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. The 2 were also named to the first team All-Big Ten, along with senior Logan Wisnauskas and junior Brett Makar. Adding to the accolades, Kyle Long, Roman Puglisi, and Logan McNaney were named to the second team, the 7 All-Big Ten selection ties, the most ever in a single season for Maryland.
While the men's team awaits their fate in the postseason, the women's lacrosse team just wrapped up their conference tournament. The Terps earned the 2nd seed and kicked it off with a 16-13 win over 7th-seeded Michigan in the first round. They then met 3rd-seeded Johns Hopkins in the semifinals and secured a thrilling last-minute win over the Blue Jays 8-7. As expected, the Terps met top-seeded Northwestern in the championship on Sunday, but could not topple the Wildcats' offense and fell 17-12. Here are head coach Kathy Reese's thoughts following the loss.
And it was a hard-fought game. Really proud of our girls and how we came out and stuck with it. We never gave up, and we have made so much progress and so much growth as we've gone through this season. And so to see them play 3 games in 4 days in all 3 seasons of weather, they really just proud of how we kind of stuck it out and gave everything we had for the duration of that game. So again, congratulations to to them, and looking forward to getting back to business, focusing on Maryland the next week as we kind of wait to see what's next.
The NCAA will present the 2021 selection show on Sunday, and the first round will kick off Friday, May 14th. But the team has some big news in the meantime. Redshirt senior Lizzie Colson was unanimously selected as Big Ten Defender of the Year. Colson led the nation with 42 caused turnovers, 51 ground balls, and tallied 69 draw controls this season. Colson was also unanimously named first team All Big Ten, joining seniors Tori Beretta and Grace Griffin.
The Maryland men's soccer team has officially wrapped up its season. The 4-4-2 Terps kicked off in the second round of the NCAA tournament on Sunday against the 11-1 Missouri State Bears. Maryland's Eric Matulevich scored the first goal of the game with just under 8 minutes to go, but in the 85th minute, Missouri State tied it up, and Maryland's hopes of advancing were crushed with just under 35 seconds to go in regulation, and the Bears locked up a 2-1 win. While this season may be over, remember, this was a delayed season due to the pandemic, so Maryland soccer fans will only have to wait a few more months to see the squad back in action at Ludwig Field.
As most Maryland teams have now completed or are approaching the end of their seasons, Maryland field hockey's year has been cut short. Missy Maharg's squad lost to Iowa in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, and for the first time in 25 years, the Terps did not qualify for the NCAA tournament. The team now looks ahead to the fall to try and get back on their usual winning stride. But the Maryland tennis team served up some revenge to Rutgers in their postseason. After losing to Rutgers in their final match of the regular season, the Terps took them down last Monday in the Big Ten tournament. After defeating Rutgers, the 13th-seeded Terps survived another day against the 5th-seeded Nebraska Cornhuskers, winning 4-3. But that would be the extent to their reach in the postseason, as on Friday the Terps fell to the Iowa Hawkeyes 4-0. Still, some exciting news remains, with sophomore Ayanna Ackley being named a unanimous Big Ten selection. This makes 2 consecutive years that Ackley has received the honor. We'll see the Terps hit the court next for their 2022 season in the winter.
By now, we all know the spring football game was a time for Maryland fans to come back to Capital One Field and feel a sense of normalcy again. Our Evan Hecht was at the game to hear what being back in the stands meant to Maryland students who haven't gotten to experience that game day setting before.
Natalie Rothman has never been to a Maryland football game.
I'm so excited. Since I'm a freshman, I have not been able to go to too many in-person activities.
She couldn't go to any of the games in the fall. In fact, no fans were allowed into the stadium because of COVID. But on April 24th, the university allowed fans in to watch a spring scrimmage, the Terps playing themselves.
I think with vaccines being more easy for people to get, and I think with COVID's finally starting to slow down, I think this was a great opportunity for them to let students be able to have their in-person activities.
The University of Maryland has recently announced that over 60% of the campus community has reported getting at least one shot of the COVID-19 vaccine. Some of them even getting it here at the Samuel Briggs Alumni Center.
Needless to say, fans of the Terps enjoyed the scrimmage. The white team came out on top, winning the steak dinner they were promised by Coach Loxley. The future of attendance remains unclear, but regardless, fans will always turn out for a game. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Evan Hecht.
The spring game had everything Maryland football fans could have asked for, and a little bit more. Check out our top play of the week. An insane one-handed catch by senior running back Tayon Fleet Davis off a short pass by Talia Tungavailoa. Fleet Davis reaches above him, pulls it in, and gets some additional yardage for the white team.
And speaking of Maryland football, it's NFL draft season. For the 3rd year in a row, a Maryland running back has been drafted to the league, and LA is about to get funky. Jake Funk is the ultimate story of perseverance and grit in football. Hailing from Damascus High School, Funk set a state record for 50 touchdowns in his senior season before coming to College Park, but was only a 2-star recruit. His collegiate career was halted for 2.5 years as he underwent 2 torn ACL surgeries. Funk only had 4 career starts and wasn't even invited to the NFL Combine. But anyone who's watched this guy play understands the fight he brings to the table. He had a stellar pro day, recording a 38-inch vertical jump. That's higher than Ezekiel Elliott, Derrick Henry, and Christian McCaffrey. Take a look at the moment Funk found out he'd be drafted in the 7th round to play for the Rams.
Who is it? Les. Oh my God. I'm going to LA.
Clearly, that was a special moment for the entire Funk family. TLB's Kevin McNulty talked with Jake's brother, Josh Funk, to hear how much it meant to see all of his brother's hard work finally pay off.
12 years as elder, Josh Funk has been there for Jake throughout his journey, all the way from the youth football fields in Damascus to his NFL Pro Day this spring. Now Josh couldn't be more excited to watch his little brother continue that journey at the next level.
I think anything where you have an opportunity to potentially find a new home at the next level is just a culmination of a lot of right things over a long period of time. You know, it's not to say that Jake's journey wasn't without some definite valleys, but there were definitely more peaks than valleys. And I think overall the way that he just approaches life and especially football allowed him to have the opportunity that he has at this point, which is to compete for a roster spot for the Los Angeles Rams.
As a certified physical therapist, Josh was instrumental in helping his brother back to the field after 2 torn ACLs and preparing him for the best season of his college career in 2020. And now, with Jake headed across the country, Josh is ready to be there for him whenever and wherever necessary.
I am kind of a brother when I need to be a brother. I could be a consultant when I need to be a consultant. I could be a PT person. I could be somebody, honestly, that just listens. So at the end of the day, just appreciating that my role can take a lot of different forms. And I think most importantly, he knows that I'm here for whatever he may need. So regardless of whether or not I'm serving in a rehab role or what, or helping out with just keeping him healthy, if I go back to just being a brother, I'm okay with that, but we'll see what the future holds.
Maryland linebacker Shaq Smith will be joining Funk in the NFL, signing as a free agent with the New Orleans Saints after the draft, and former Terp DJ Turner, who transferred to Pitt last year, has signed with the Las Vegas Raiders.
From football to football, this week's Pro Terp is a former Maryland soccer star who will be on one of soccer's biggest stages later this month. Former men's soccer goalkeeper Zach Steffen and his club team, Manchester City, has made the UEFA Champions League final. This is the first time that Manchester City has made the Champions League final. Steffen and company will either face Chelsea FC from the English Premier League or Real Madrid from La Liga later this month.
Now, student athletes are always seen for their accomplishments on the field, but I had the chance to virtually sit down with Maryland baseball's Maxwell Costas to learn about a passion of his that takes place off the field. Take a look.
Maybe I've forgotten what it means to be gentle with myself, what it means to hold myself in my own arms instead of constantly exuding that same compassion into the world.
We all know him as Maryland's standout first baseman, Maxwell Costas, named the 2021 Perfect Game preseason All-Big Ten and expected to be drafted in the major leagues this coming June. But there is much more beneath the shell of Maxwell than just the fancy awards and athletic accomplishments. Maxwell is also a poet.
Poetry is the thing that takes me away from baseball.
Definitely.
If I'm struggling, if I'm, not feeling like I'm playing my best, like I'll just sit down and just start writing, help take my mind off of things. Even someone like me who has notoriety as an athlete can go through mental health issues, can go through heartbreak, can go through feeling sad, or has moments when they feel unbeatable and stuff. So having something that kind of takes you away from the game, right? That can take you away from the fact that, I just went 0 for 5 today, right? That's huge.
I'd love to hear one of these poems. Would you be into sharing one?
Absolutely. So I call it affirmation. But what I haven't forgotten is that it's impossible to be in harmony with myself. I'm always at odds with the circumstances that created me. That the manifestation of all this darkness and all these shadows simply alludes to the presence of a bright light within me that enables their existence. Maybe I'm hollow ground, a place deserving of reverence for the stories I'll hold. Maybe I might not be able to shatter these walls yet, but I can take the first step and put down the brick and mortar. Maybe believing that I must be without flaw in order to be enough, to be worthy of the things I desire, left me blind to the inevitability of my own imperfections. And maybe one day I'll remember that the statement and the very notion of I love myself in a world that does everything it can to instill in me hesitance, the very idea is the most powerful and most rebellious victory that I can embrace.
April, I had such a good time sitting down with Maxwell Costas. He's such a nice kid and his poetry is amazing.
I can imagine, Julia. I'd love to share some of my poetry with him sometime. Do you think that maybe be possible?
Are you a poet?
I am, actually. I dabble a little bit in writing.
We'll have to set you guys up, talk about your poetry. Well, that does it for this edition of the Left Bench TV.
Be sure to keep up with all of our coverage on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Left Bench.
We'll see you next time.